All right. I think I'm starting, right? Trying to get all focused here. Welcome. If you're here for the first time, thrilled to have you. If you're visiting with us, a bit of a different service. We're going to be talking about next steps for our church and where we're going to be going. So this is Vision Sunday, very non-typical of how we do a Sunday, what I'm going to be sharing. But hopefully it's meaningful to you. Followed a shorter service followed by our annual general meeting, which is a legal requirement. We're just getting in under the wire. We're a newly merged church, and we're trying to put all these moving parts together. Hopefully it's all going to come together. So I'm going to pray and for us all, and then we're going to start. So Lord, thank you for today. I thank you for every person that's here. No one's here by chance. Every person that's here, Lord, is here for a reason. You are a sovereign God. You're in control, and we trust that you lead us and guide us in our lives for your purposes. And so we want to be sensitive to that. We want to be honoring of you leading our lives. I pray for every heart, every person that's here. You know where people are at. You know their pain. You know their doubts. You know everybody's questions. You know their sin. You know everything. Nothing is hidden before you. And we serve a God who sees us and loves us anyway. And Lord, that is comforting, because none of us are lovable. And you chose us despite ourselves. The gospel is astounding. Lord, we want to represent you well, whatever we do. Jesus, be with us today, we pray. Amen. Okay, I'm running two hands here, so let's see how we do. I'm going to just start off. Today, as I mentioned, is Vision Sunday. If you're online, try and follow the slides behind me as well, but thrilled to have everybody join us. I'm going to start off by just reading Luke chapter 4, verses 16 to 19. The Word of God says this, "And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.'" This is God's word. So welcome to Vision Sunday. If you are checking us out or checking in on us, Village Community Church is a beautiful unfolding story of two churches that merged because we thought and decided we would be better together as one church. We are now approaching 3 months of operation. Doesn't it seem longer? Come on, not in a bad way, in a good way. It seems like we've been together a long time, and that's a good sign. So we're approaching 3 months of operating as one better church, and I think we're seeing a representation of Jesus' bride that I think pleases him. We're not a youth church. We're not a seniors church. We're not a dress-up or a dress-down church. We are not singularly ethnic, but we are a literal mosaic of young and old, ethnically diverse Jesus lovers that are learning to live together, love each other, and exhibit a fundamental level of respect towards each other that is truly remarkable. We have the opportunity here to model the true biblical value of a generational church. And as we do that, we recognize the older in our midst are revered. You know, so many times in the West, older people are despised. They're put aside, they're shoved off to the side as irrelevant, joke about them because they're losing the plot. You know, not from the East. The people from the East have such a high reverence for the older. But in the West, we have this terrible, terrible attitude towards the older people. But we want it to be different here. The older are revered for their wisdom, for their marital longevity. Old people like Doug and Janet You're bragging about how long you've been married, bro. So the older are revered for their marital longevity and their moving stories of the ups and downs of life. These are shareable experiences. One of the things that has been a joy for me has been to visit so many of you already. Many more to go, but we've visited many people. We've heard some incredible stories, escaping from different countries where people got out by the skin of their teeth. And we've heard so many stories, ups and downs of life. And one thing you do when you're older is you carry the weight of experience. The great shame is if you keep that to yourself. And the greater shame is if young people don't come to you and ask you to share their experience with you. We want this church to be a church where the younger go to the older, and the older share their history and their stories. The younger parents and the adults in our midst amaze us with their capacity to raise children, build careers, work hard in every way, and serving God's kingdom faithfully. I don't know about you. I mean, I had 4 boys when we grew up. Our life was full on, ran a business, all in sports. I look back and I go, how on earth did we do that? And I look at my own kids now, I look at Corey and all these guys, these guys with children, I go, how did we do it? And how do they do it? And I just think that, honestly, the younger adults amaze us, but God gives you the broad shoulders to run the race at that point, this chapter in your life, and well done for doing that. The youth and the young adults give us the hope of a bright future as we deeply admire young people that have chosen to serve Jesus and walk away from the things that so many of their peers choose to indulge in. I admire young people that are saying no to premarital sex and aren't doing drugs and are saying, I'm going to follow Jesus, even though it's not the cool thing to do. I'm going to do that. We need to just support them and encourage them and cheer them on. And the children. Do you know how many of the mature people here that I've chatted with just say, when they look down at the children, dancing around the front, being completely irreverent at the wrong time, doing all the wrong things, you look at it and you go, man, that's why we're here. Right? You look down and say, that is why we are here. Children are amazing, and I just think we're so privileged to have this blend of older down to very young. There's a unity here that is worth fighting for. The Scripture tells us to preserve the unity of the Spirit, and I just want to encourage all of us to ruthlessly eliminate anything that would divide us. We just want you all to know that Edwina and myself, Corey and Vera, the staff, and the deacon team, we all count it an absolute privilege to serve this amazing church. And we want to thank you for placing your confidence in us. We do not take it lightly. We do not take it for granted. So, I've been quite overwhelmed with the passion that I've heard from so many of you that have remained buoyant and optimistic about the possibility of the 82 Church Street project finally being completed. And I've heard of previous individual fundraising efforts, whether it be the legendary Mandarin event, of which I was part on Friday, may I add. And I'll have you know, I was there illegally. I was 1 year too young to be there, but I went anyway. Well, maybe 6 months, maybe not even. Maybe 4 months, to be honest with you. Anyway, I was close enough. I got the seniors discount, I guess. I don't know. But again, what a great event. The ladies who put it on, Aveen and Doreen, who does all the work. Apparently, she told me to tell you that, right? You do all the work, Doreen? Yeah. Did I say that right? Yeah? Okay. But I want to just thank everybody. And then Roy. I mean, I don't know what Roy's doing. He should be doing stand-up downtown or something. He's telling terrible jokes, but everybody laughed. I don't know. You guys are so gracious. There's hope for me. There's hope for me. Roy's new sitcom. Roy was up there doing his thing, and it was a wonderful event, and it was a fundraiser. It was amazing. I heard people did car washes to raise funds. Well done. walkathons. I chatted with Dorothy, who organized a walk. She's here. Organized a walkathon a few years ago, and I asked her if Edna did the walkathon in her high heels, and she's. Maybe not the high heels, but she definitely had sequins on the trainers. That I can guarantee you. That's 100%. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm only picking on the Irish people. It is completely intentional. It's a British thing. You have been deeply invested in creating a gospel witness in Pickering Village. And I want you to know that we have a really great restarting point, because so many of you have stepped up sacrificially to give and to fundraise for something you've deeply believed in. And I would just say, well done. Well done. I know you're frustrated and wonder what's happening. Well done. You have done well. You've held fast. You've put your hands to the plow and you haven't turned back. Well done. Now, as we dream of the future, we're asking God to clearly show us how we can build something that will make His name known to Ajax, to Pickering, to the Durham region, the province of Ontario, the nation of Canada, and the nations of the earth. We cannot build a sanctuary that remains dark and unused for 90% of the week. We need to build something that allows us to fling open the doors of our community and to be Jesus' arms extended to those that Jesus deeply loves and cares for. Here's a nitpicky thing for me. I don't like using the word sanctuary for a building. The reason I don't like to use the word sanctuary is you make a building something Jesus does not make it. You make a building, and we make a building a holy place when Jesus said, we are His sanctuaries. The transition from the old to the new is they left temples, and now we became the portable temple of God. We get to take the presence of Jesus everywhere. And so when we use language that makes a building appear to be a holy place, we then start putting restrictions on how we use the building. And now we start saying, whoa, you can't do that in here. Oh, you can't do that in here. Oh, you can't do that in here. Well, just so you know, there's some pretty raunchy dramas going on in this building, and we're worshiping Jesus in this building, right? It's okay? Is it affecting your worship? No. Right. That's why I started with Luke chapter 4, verse 18 to 19. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He's anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. This is what the church gets to do. We have good news. We get to go to those that do not have that good news, and we share it. Buildings are tools to help us do that. He sent us to proclaim liberty to the captives. You know, the Apostle Paul says, he goes, all things are permissible to me, but not all things are beneficial. And he says, and I will not be mastered by anything. All around us, people are controlled by things they don't want to be controlled by. And Jesus came to proclaim liberty to the captives. And recovery of sight to the blind. And to set at freedom or liberty those who are oppressed. That's everybody. Buildings are tools to help us preach that gospel and to help people that are oppressed and blind and captive and poor to serve them. That's what buildings are designed for. Not just for us to meet and have an amazing time once a week, slam the door shut. This is a holy place. Enter only on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. That is not why we do buildings. That's a bad business model from a business perspective, by the way. You build something that's only used for 10% of the week? You tell me where that would work in the business world. It would never work. So, there's been many meetings and many conversations leading up to this point, and we believe that what I'm about to share is a doable, well-thought plan that includes both the skilled oversight of a proven general contractor and the opportunity for those of us that are willing and somewhat handy to get involved in practical ways. While most of the general contractors that we've interviewed are only interested in a turnkey start-to-finish project, the contractor that we have secured is willing, all right, I'm working, is willing to allow us to work in phases and to use our own skilled trades. So we have secured a contractor that will work with us, not for us, which is a big thing. So let's talk about the plan. After we officially voted to merge on January the 12th, 2025, we held our monthly prayer and fasting meeting the next day. Do you remember that? On January the 13th at 82 Church Street. And it was a snowstorm. We were outside and we were praying over that property. And then after that, we moved inside. And we were crammed into that room there, and it was kind of small, as you know. We had communion together, which was interesting. We were in a really tight space. The building has a ton of potential, but it has very little usable space. Our plan involves immediately renovating 82 Church Street while simultaneously starting phase 1 of the auditorium construction. This is a 3D model of what we are planning on doing. It's going to look something like this. That's Roy's Porsche on the end there. So this will be the garage will be renovated. It'll be a glass frontage. We're going to convert it into a cafe area. So as you come in there, the kitchen will be relocated into a kitchenette in the cafe. You can seat 18 to 25 people around tables. You can seat 50 people, ChatGPT tells me, in that area in rows. And then as you come in, we're going to take that wall out. So you're going to be able to walk right through into the rest of the building. A renovated ladies' washroom, men's washroom. The office will be relocated to the right over there. Nobody's coming out that door yet. I know you're waiting for the door to open. It's not opening. And you're not peeking in the men's washroom either. That'll be the accessible washroom there. That'll be the auditorium entrance, wider than that. And then we come around to a wall-less society. So now you're looking into the cafe area. And there you go, the accessible washroom. Do you know how long it took me to put that together? I didn't do it. Trust me, I didn't do that. Somebody in the Philippines did that for us, so Dean was in charge of it. Thank you. Great to see Dean back, by the way, after surgery up there. Dean has been a rock star in this whole process, so he's been amazing. And he'll tell the guy in the Philippines what he wants, and he wakes up in the morning and hopes it's there. And it was this morning. It was there this morning, completed. So, but that gives you a bit of a feel. It won't look exactly like that, but that gives you a bit of a feel of how that space will be more usable. So we always need usable space where you can have 25 to 60 people to gather where an auditorium's unsuitable. Think prayer meetings, think smaller Bible studies, think running alpha, coffee groups, etc. And also the current entrance to the 82 church right now requires us going around the back of the building, which is ice up in the winter and maybe a little intimidating at night as people walk around in the dark. And we've had a couple of people fall already. It's not ideal, to say the least. So now this building will be you'll come in from the front. I did fail to mention the knitting group who also are crazy good fundraisers, right here. I know that you would beat me up mightily if I forgot you, unashamedly, so I am reminded. I had this jog in my memory. I got to remember you. There you go. And again, in the cafe area, if we had rows, you can seat 40 to 50 people comfortably. But otherwise, women's breakfast now could be in there. Men's breakfast could be in there. We have this whole area that we can operate in. And also, it'll be great when our children overflow, which I'll talk about in a second. We can use that during our gatherings at the auditorium. So, we are dedicating the entire, and have dedicated the entire upper floor for our children of 82 Church Street. We're going to put in an additional washroom, and we are going to put a kitchenette up there for the teachers as well. So that will be used, but as our children's ministry grows and as we have more and more kids, we can use that beautiful now wide open area for different classes as well. So we'll always use it. It'll always be active, and that's what we want to see happen. Okay, let's talk about so that's phase one, and this is also phase one. Coming soon, food bank. So we're going to put a food bank in the basement. So that staircase down is perfect. You walk down the staircase outside, go right, and that first room will be a food bank. So here's the idea that we have, is that we can meet people in the cafe, we can have coffee with the people in the cafe that are coming in to use the food bank, get to know them, get to know their story, see how we can genuinely help them, and at that point take them down ourselves to the food bank and serve them and make sure that they are taken care of with their needs. So I think this is easy for us to do. We have to put shelving in there and do it. We're going to be doing that shortly, but the food bank will be operational sooner rather than later. Phase two of what we want to do in 82 Church Street is we want to put a full commercial kitchen in the basement area, complete with a dumb waiter. None of you qualify. You guys are all geniuses. But a dumb waiter will take the food up automatically. And again, we can do community meals up there. We can feed the community. We can do, and again, if you think it's a sanctuary, you're not going to use it for that. But if it's an auditorium, all bets are off. We can feed the community in there. We can serve the community in there. So full commercial kitchen in the basement is phase two, the ability to bring the food up and to serve into the auditorium. Let's talk costing here. So we've priced out the renovation to church. And let me start off by saying this. When you previously received an estimate for the work to be done for the auditorium, they quoted you $70,000, 70, to do the accessible washroom in 82 Church Street. That's what the quote was, $70,000. I know it's insane. So the washroom renovations were always going to be part of the auditorium construction. And we are preempting the auditorium construction by doing the washrooms first. The good news is that a lot of the work that's going to be done at 82 Church Street, we're going to do that work. Okay? We're going to save a lot of money because a lot of that is just taking walls down and finishing. That's stuff that we can do. And so we're going to be doing a lot of that work at 82 Church. So if you're handy, sign up. We're going to be looking for you. We're going to be calling you at unearthly hours to come and help us without shame. So I would just say that that's the plan, is that we think we can do a lot of the work at 82 Church and keep the costing down. Here's the pricing. We've come in to do the full reno at around $93,000 to do the full reno for 82 Church. It could be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's going to be something around the price range to do the reno at 82 Church. All right, so let's talk about where we stand currently. So here's where we stand currently. We have currently $82,000 in the building fund as we've merged the two churches together. This includes a $4,000 electrical credit, meaning that when we moved out of the Waypoint, we were fortunate to be able to sell a lot of the items in the Waypoint to the person that took it over. They're a certified electrician, so we worked out a barter deal with them. They gave us some cash, and they're going to do the balance and electrical work for us. So out of that 82, there is a $4,000 electrical credit. They'll be coming in to take care of the electrical for us. Timeline-wise, the drawings are slightly delayed, probably 2 to 3 weeks for permit ready. They're going to try and make it 2 weeks, but we're getting close. We're going to do the roof right away. The roof has to be redone. And then we're going to spray foam underneath. We're going to seal that garage. It's not going to feel like a garage, just in case you know, like, in case you're wondering. There'll be no cars ever go in that building again. These car days are over, all right? And so we will get working on that sooner rather than later. All right. Are you good so far? Yeah. Have I lost you, or are you still with me? No. All right. All right. We'll see. Let's see how excited you are after the next one. You're excited because it's only 93. We already have 82. That's why you're excited. Now we'll see how excited you are. All right, let's talk about the auditorium. And so here's the goal. The goal is for us to have the auditorium up, sealed, and heated in 2025. All right, for those of you who don't know, there is a 3D. A lot of you have seen this. You're going to see this again without the music. This was the original video that was done for the 3D drawing. Same guy for the auditorium. It looks like it's the African savannah behind, but it's actually Ajax. No music. Yeah, come on. So that's the goal. Auditorium heated and sealed 2025. It will not be complete. We can do very little on the auditorium building. We can do something on the inside part with regards to the flooring. That can be labor that we get involved in, but most of that is heavy equipment, reno, excavation, cranes. We can't do that. So we can do 82 Church. We can do a little bit at the first phase. We can do more in the second phase, finishing the building. But we're doing this in doable, edible, biteable phases. And the goal is by December 2025 that building is up and sealed, heated. We currently, if you don't know, have the building in modular form in the backyard at 82 Church Street. And it's been there too long. We need to get it out of there, and we need to build it. All right, let's talk about money. Let's see how excited you stay. Okay, here's a small sample size, but I'm just talking about, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that. It's pretty good. So this is based on the first 3 months of this year, income-wise, and projections that we had based on the incomes of 2 churches prior to starting this. So when we're thinking about merging, we put some forecasting together, analyze numbers, and this is a little bit less than those numbers were, but this is, I would say, hopefully doable. Basically what happened, we have the first 3 months of this year, income and expenses, and projected forward till the end of 2025. We'll go over this again at the AGM. If people continue to give at the current level, and we maintain these expenses, which are extremely reasonable, we will have a surplus of around $10,466 a month, which is about $125,000 a year. So if we can stay with people giving consistently, we will be in a surplus mode, which puts us in a strong position in a number of ways, which I'll talk about. So here's the deal. We need people to continue your regular giving. Even if you're giving over and above, if you're giving to building fund in the future, it has to be over and above your regular giving. It can't be instead of, because we're just robbing Peter to pay Paul at that point. We need the operating budget to come in consistently, and I believe we're growing. I believe we're going to grow more and more. I'm super optimistic about where the church is going. There's a healthy vibe. Guests are coming. Easter was spectacular, and we're just excited. People are starting to become more and more generous. So I think that's reasonable. The numbers for the first 3 months, that's our current giving numbers extrapolated till the end of the year. Okay, so here's the payment schedule. So in order for us to do this, and I'll talk about how we're going to do this, this is the payment schedule that we have to do to Kappa. So weeks 3 to 4, which is about May the 21st, we have to give him $10,000 for all the work he's done to this point. He's already sourced all the different contractors out. He's priced everything out. And then there's a schedule until the end of the year that we have to give. So don't panic. Don't panic. Stay with me. Weeks 5 to 6, we have to give $60,000. And this goes through. And it's all in line with the concrete being poured and different parts of the construction process. So you follow all along down to week 29 to 30, December the 15th, the final amount is $60,000. It's a total of $560,000. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of money. You can buy maybe a 2-bedroom condo for $560,000. It is not a lot of money, and it will be a spectacular building. And so we will talk to you plan-wise. I'm not going to take any more time on this. I just wanted to kind of give you this, allow this to sit in your mind. This is the plan. We're going to announce 2 giving Sundays. We're going to do that next week. So there's going to be 2 days that we target. We don't want to badger you every week for money. We don't want to do that. We're going to give you 2 dates. There'll be one date, and there'll be another date. And we're going to ask you, if you want to give in between, you can, but those are the targeted dates where you come and say, this is what I can do. All right? Secondly, we're going to give you different options of how you can give next week as well. And thirdly, we're not opposed to bridge financing. And that's where our surplus comes in. If we can bridge finance, then we can have the funds come in. If we have that surplus, we can comfortably carry that mortgage until the funds come in. And so we have a number of irons in the fire in that way. I'll keep you posted when they come clear. But if we maintain a healthy surplus, having bridge financing until we're able to pay off the mortgage is completely doable. I'm comfortable with it. I don't think it's a terrible thing at all. And it will allow us to move from the phase we're at to the phase we need to be. So I'm going to conclude with this. Thought about this in prayer this morning. 2 Kings chapter 4. This is a story of Elijah and the widow, one of the widows. Now the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elisha, your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, but the creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves. And Elisha said to her, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what have you in your house? And she said, your servant has nothing in the house. How many people say that? People say, what do you have? And you're like, oh, I got nothing. You know, my mom says that. She's 92 in the UK, 91 and a bit in the UK. It's like, oh, I don't have any money, she said. And then my sister and my brother, stopped counting at a fairly large amount of money when they were going through her accounts. Like, oh, you have nothing? What do you think you need that for at 91 and a half, you know? But we all think that. I've got nothing. Except there's a word here, and the word's a big word, and the word is except. She said, your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil. Then he said, go outside, borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels, and not too few. And when one is full, set it aside. So she went from him and shut the door behind herself and her sons, and she poured As she poured, they brought the vessels to her. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." Then he said to her, "There is another one." There is not another. And then the oil stopped flowing. I will just say to you, all of us have something. And to do this building will require all of us to do something with what you have, with what I have. It will be sacrificial. It will be challenging. And you're going to say, "I can't do it." And I'm going to say, "I can't do it." And Edwina's definitely going to say, "We can't do it." and we'll talk each other off the ledge. But we all have something. And there's something in life. If I go back, and I'll finish with a story. When I first became a Christian, I was not generous. I was not. I remember, I'm totally ashamed of this story, so I need to tell it to you. Edwina had friends that flew in from overseas, and they called from the airport, and they said, "Can we stay with you?" And I said, "No, they cannot." That is so shameful. I was not generous. I did not grow up in a home where people were generous. And when I became a Christian and we started understanding living in God's economy, we started with nothing. We went through personal bankruptcy. We as a family, we were personally bankrupt. And we started giving selflessly and ridiculously. And we gave some big things away. We gave cars away. I signed paychecks off to people. I did some crazy stuff at that point. But we were starting to trust God, and we started seeing God's miraculous hand in our lives because we realized we had something. And we would give what we had. And little bit by little bit, we saw God's incredible provision in our lives, step by step. I did not grow up with a golden spoon in my mouth or any of that stuff. Everything we've had, we've worked hard for. But undergirding all that is we believe God is no man's debtor. And we've always given our best and our first to God. And I have no regrets, guys. I have no regrets. We have seen his hand of provision. A little bit by little bit, we've seen God bless us and move us on. And so I just want to encourage you that living this way for a bigger story is good. Living for your own story is very, very temporal. But living for a bigger story is good. This is giving us an opportunity to live for a bigger story. Those children you see over here, when we talk about building and doing this, think about them.